What kind of professional golfer goes 5 or 6 weeks without touching a club and still becomes #1 in the world? What kind of athlete never wears a glove, claims he doesn't know a thing about swing technique, and yet produces what experts call the most beautiful swing in golf history? Fred Couples once said, "As far as swing and techniques are concerned, I don't know diddly squat. When I'm playing well, I don't even take aim." This is the story of golf's most gifted enigma and the hidden price of making greatness look effortless. Frederick Stephen Couples was born on October 3, 1959, in Seattle, Washington. His grandparents were Italian immigrants who changed the family name from Coppola to Couples just to avoid discrimination. His father, Tom, worked as a groundskeeper for the Seattle Parks Department. His mother, Violet, was of Croatian descent. The family lived on Beacon Hill, just a few blocks from Jefferson Park Golf Course. Every summer, Violet gave young Fred $5 a day. That was enough for one round of golf and a hamburger with a Coke. His older sister, Cindy, only got $8, and she resented it. But Fred spent every hour on that course, teaching himself. He caddied for a local player who eventually gave him a starter set, a 5-iron, 7-iron, 9-iron, a driver, and one flat stick. No coaching, no system. He once explained, "How I developed my swing was to just grab a club and start banging balls." And here is one detail that followed him for over 4 decades as a professional. Fred never had money for a golf glove, so he played barehanded. In Seattle, one of the rainiest cities in America, he never stopped. To this day, Couples remains one of the only tour pros who has never worn a glove. At 18, Fred left Seattle on a golf scholarship to the University of Houston. There, he joined one of the most dominant college golf programs in America, coached by the legendary Dave Williams. But what shaped his life most wasn't the coaching. It was his roommate. Jim Nance, a skinny kid who could barely make the team, shared a suite with Couples in Taub Hall. While Fred focused on golf, Nance quietly chased a different dream: sports broadcasting. At night, he would come back to the dorm after interviewing Nolan Ryan or Muhammad Ali for local radio. Fred had no idea how big those names were at the time. But together, they did something that sounds almost absurd. The two would sit in their dorm room and act out the Butler cabin ceremony at Augusta National Nance, playing the broadcaster, Couples pretending he had just won the Masters. Their coach once told them, "You might win a Masters, you might win a US Open, but Jimmy's going to be president of the United States one day." 14 years later, both dreams came true on the same Sunday afternoon, but we will get to that. Couples won 7 college tournaments, earned 2 All-American honors, and turned professional in 1980, skipping his senior year on little more than a gut feeling. For 3 years, Couples grinded through the PGA Tour without a win. Then came the 1983 Kemper Open. In a 5-man playoff, the 23-year-old sank a birdie to claim his first professional title. When he walked off the green, his wife Deborah sprinted toward him, jumped into his arms, and shouted, "Baby cakes, I love ya." It became one of the most replayed moments of that era. The following year, Couples won the Players' Championship at Sawgrass, firing a course record 64 in the second round. Hall of Famer the Merry Mex watched and declared, "Fred's going to be a player to be contended with every week now." The nickname Boom Boom was born for a man whose lazy, flowing swing somehow generated drives that rivaled the biggest hitters on tour. Golf Digest described it best: "Sometimes it's hard to believe that a swing so seemingly effortless can produce such long drives." But then something strange happened. Couples went winless in 1985 and 86. He missed the cut 10 times in 26 events that second year. Critics questioned his desire. His marriage showed cracks. The talent was obvious, the motivation was not. This became the pattern that would define his entire career: explosion, then disappearance, then explosion again. Couples never built momentum the way Tiger Woods or Jack Nicklaus did. He played by feel, by mood, by inspiration. When the fire was lit, nobody could touch him. When it wasn't, he simply walked away. He once admitted, "Golf is supposed to be fun, but I don't think anything is fun if you're not doing it reasonably well." The fire came roaring back in 1991. By 1992, Fred Couples was the hottest golfer on the planet. He had been named PGA Player of the Year in '91 and was now the first American to reach #1 in the official world golf rankings. In the 5 weeks before the Masters, he won 2 tournaments and finished second twice. Nobody was hotter walking into Augusta National. On Saturday night, before the final round, his old roommate Jim Nantz, now the lead golf broadcaster for CBS, pulled Fred aside and said, "Shoot your badge number twice more, and you'll be wearing the jacket." His Augusta badge number that week was 70. Couples had just shot 69 in the 3rd round. Sunday became a duel between Couples and 49-year-old Raymond Floyd, a friend, a mentor, and the 1976 Masters champion. Floyd led after 8 holes. Couples clawed back and pulled ahead by 2 after 10. Then came the 12th, Golden Bell, the most famous par 3 in golf, 155 yards over Rays Creek with swirling winds that have destroyed countless Masters' dreams. Floyd had just made bogey, giving Couples a 3-shot cushion. All he needed was a safe shot on the green. He did not hit a safe shot. His 7-iron landed on the steep bank in front of the green and began rolling toward the water. The crowd groaned. CBS only had a camera behind the green for 15 agonizing seconds. Nobody watching on television knew whether the ball was dry or underwater. Then a second camera angle revealed the impossible. The ball had stopped 2 feet from the creek. Clinging to the slope like, as Sports Illustrated wrote, a sock clings to a towel fresh out of the dryer. On the CBS broadcast, Vern Lundquist said to Ken Venturi, "Think of the odds of that ball staying dry, hitting where it did." Venturi replied, "How many times have you seen that stay dry from there?" Lundquist answered simply, "Never." Couples sprinted across the Hogan Bridge, chipped to within a few feet, and saved par. He later admitted, "That's the most nervous I've ever been, and obviously it showed. How it stayed up was a miracle, and so is winning the Masters." He won by 2 strokes. And in the Butler cabin, the man handing him the green jacket on live television was Jim Nantz. 2 college kids in a dorm room 14 years earlier, pretending this exact moment into existence. Nantz could barely hold it together. He later told reporters, "Fred, I don't know. I may have been more nervous than you were on that back 9. The public saw Fred Couples as Mr. Lucky, the man everyone wanted to trade lives with. But Golf Digest called that idea a deal with the devil, one that included divorces, paralyzing back pain, migraines, early parental passings, and episodes of debilitating inertia. It started in 1994. On the practice range at Doral, Couples felt something snap in his lower back. The very technique that made his swing so beautiful, the extreme shoulder turn combined with a flat left foot throughout the backswing, was destroying his spine. Doctors told him for 20 years he needed surgery. He refused every time. That same year, his mother Violet died of pancreatic cancer on Mother's Day. 3 years later, his father Tom died of leukemia. His divorce from Deborah had become painfully public. In 2001, she passed away at the age of 43. He married Thais Baker in 1998. She was diagnosed with breast cancer shortly after they began dating. Thais passed away in 2009. In the span of 15 years, Couples lost both parents and both wives. His caddy, Joe LaCava, who worked with Fred for over a decade, once said, "I can tell if he's hurting just by looking at his eyes. If they're wide open, he's okay. But if they're narrow, it's because his back is killing him and he didn't sleep or he's got a migraine." Tiger Woods, who knew something about playing through back pain, once looked at Couples and simply asked, "Dude, how do you do this?" Golf Digest wrote what many had long suspected. The back is the great what if of Couples' career. After the Masters win, Many predicted Couples would dominate for years. He won a few more titles through the 90s, including a second Players' Championship in '96. But by the end of the decade, his career had drifted. Between 1999 and 2002, he went winless on the PGA Tour. In 2001, he had 0 top 10 finishes and fell to 131st on the money list, the lowest ranking of his career. He once considered walking away for 5 years, saying, "For me to come out and make $6,000 every week, it's just not fun. I refuse to go out there and embarrass myself." But in 2003, something shifted. His wife, Tiz, encouraged him to give golf one more serious try. He began working with swing coach Butch Harmon, who was stunned at how poorly Fred was striking even a 9-iron. Weeks of rebuilding followed. Then, at the Shell Houston Open, Couples led every single round and won by 4 strokes, his first victory in 87 PGA Tour starts. His playing partner, Mark Calcavecchia, said afterward, "That's the best I've ever seen Fred play. He hit every shot dead perfect the last 5 holes." Couples reflected quietly, "I appreciate golf a lot more than I did. I have more fun playing than I did in the 80s and 90s. Then came 2010. At 50 years old, Couples debuted on the Champions Tour in Hawaii, shot 21 under par, and still lost to Tom Watson. But he won his next 3 starts, becoming the first player in Champions Tour history to win 3 of his first 4 events. 2 senior major titles followed in 2011 and 2012. The man who barely practiced had found joy in the game again, on his own terms, at his own pace. Fred Couples only won 1 major, 15 PGA Tour titles. By the numbers, he is not in the same conversation as Nicklaus or Woods, yet he is one of the most beloved figures the sport has ever produced. The reason goes beyond trophies. When a 20-year-old Tiger Woods arrived on tour in 1996, he was a lone wolf. Few veterans welcomed him. Couples did. Their first practice round together was at Augusta National. From that day forward, Couples became Tiger's constant companion at the Masters for nearly 2 decades. Woods later said, "I've been lucky enough to have him as basically my dad on tour. Freddie all of a sudden became my buddy when I first came out, took me under his wing." Couples captained 3 winning United States President's Cup teams. He hosted a charity tournament in Seattle for years. He mentored young players who never had to ask for his time, he simply gave it. In April 2023, at 63 years old, Couples became the oldest player in history to make the cut at the Masters. When asked why he kept coming back, he said, "I can't compete with Victor Hovland or John Rahm or anybody, but I can compete with myself, and that's really why I come." Bleacher Report once wrote, "Fred Couples is to golf what Marilyn Monroe was to movies. He's the it guy." In April 2025, at 65 years old, Fred Couples walked onto the first tee at Augusta National for his 39th Masters appearance. He shot 1 under par in the opening round, including an eagle on the 14th hole from 186 yards, barehanded, no glove, the same way he started as a kid with $5 and a borrowed set of clubs at Jefferson Park. When reporters asked if he would ever stop coming back, he simply said, no. He never became the most decorated golfer. He never practiced the hardest. He never chased records or demanded attention. He just swung the club the way it felt right, and somehow that was enough to inspire generations. Enough to make Tiger Woods call him Dad on tour. Enough to turn a dorm room dream into a green jacket on live television. Fred Couples once said, "I think people like players they can relate to. It seems as if people think they know me. I just think I'm an ordinary Joe who plays golf very, very well." 45 years on tour, 64 professional wins, 1 green jacket, 0 gloves, and the most beautiful swing the game has ever seen.